Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
You've heard the phrase, I'm sure, that sometimes life deals just lemons and we have to make lemonade out of it. Sometimes you get caught up in the storm of life, just things going on. But have you ever thought that maybe that was a divine storm? There was a reason that that storm needed to take place. And what happens after a storm? Sun comes out. Not easy navigating the storm.
Ah,
That's why we have her. And she helps people with this all the time, realize what's going on in their lives. And she's got a passion for the power of our mindset and empowering people to really embrace the change to a much better life. She is Trinity Baker, an amazing life coach. She's back with us. How are you doing today?
hey, good morning, Steve. I am wonderful. So super blessed and happy to be here with you today. You said it perfectly. Um, because when we're in the midst of those storms, it's just like when we're in a stormy, like an actual storm, rain, wind, snow, whatever it is. Sometimes it's hard to think about it being sunny. We're in the midst of spring here. We're going to have a lot of rain. And so sometimes when we're in April and May, you can think, wow, when is it going to be sunny again? We go through this in life too. So I love this topic today. Thanks for having me.
Oh, me too. And I can completely relate to it. When we talk about the storms, do you believe that these storms that show up in our lives that aren't usually fun
Yeah.
happen for a reason?
Most things that are meant to grow us and change us and redirect us are not fun. Because here's the thing is if it were fun, we would want to stay where we are. What would
Hmm.
be the motivation to shift the way you need to? What would be the motivation to make the decision that you don't want to make, but know you need to make? Change the road, change navigation. What would be the motivation for that if we were enjoying where we were? So the storms have to be uncomfortable. We talk about all the time that, growth is in the discomfort. What I see is that clients will stay stuck in a situation, in a challenge, and I tell them they'll save you. I will tell them if you don't make the choice, the universe is going to make the choice for you. And
Hmm.
that is typically a divine storm where you've had to make a shift and make a decision for a long time now. You are in fear and you can't make that choice. And so the choice is made for you. And typically it's a pretty big shift, right? And so it's not something that we're easily welcoming, but we really, and that's where the power of mindset comes in, is we really have to be welcoming to these, because guess what? It's going to happen anyway.
Hmm. How do you get out of the why me mindset? Why did this happen? Things were okay. And then this, and now I got to deal with this. And oh my gosh, I never even saw it coming, although you probably did. Don't lie to yourself. Or you felt something inside that, maybe this isn't right or this doesn't support, but okay. But how we get out of that victim mindset?
The victim mentality is something that people who have that mentality and have that mindset have conditioned for many years. They are typically taught it, or they go through a trauma, and that is how they cope, and that's how they come out of that trauma and move on in life with that trauma. Um, and so that is a really deep question of how you get out of it. First of all, we have to figure out why you're in it. Like, where did it really stem from? Was it a trauma? Was it just a belief that, your parents passed on to you, generations passed on to you?
Hmm.
There's many different reasons for it. So first we have to figure out why. Coaching, we do a lot of that. Clients come to me with very many disempowering and limiting beliefs. Sometimes victim mentality is one of them, but it's really about learning the power of your mindset. And if I had to pick one way we come out of that, one way, it would be building your faith, whatever that is. Because when we realize and learn and accept and acknowledge that we don't create anything, it is all up to our divine, the creator, the higher power, it takes that away from you. It stops being your responsibility to figure out why. and it allows you really just to step into the growth of the challenge and of the storm. So if I had to pick one thing, it would be faith. And again, we've talked about this before in previous podcasts. Like, I don't care what it is you believe in. I don't care. Whatever it is, as long as it's something. And I always have places for clients who come to me who don't have that higher belief where they can start that has nothing to do with spirituality at all. I mean, my name is Trinity, so I've got some spiritual trauma there, right? So I had to work through that in order to find my own faith and develop my own faith. And that started, with the universe and has moved on to God and spirit guides and all of that. But really, like, our strength is in our creator. When you can tap into that, you realize even more that these storms really are meant for you. One of the things I used to say before I tapped into personal development and started this journey of mine is everything is wrong. Everything is wrong. Everything feels wrong. Everything's chaos. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed. And there was a study done, I think it was 2020, 2021, and it was a significant amount of Americans are stressed, overwhelmed, and live in that mode. And so if you're living in that mode, you're not tapping into your faith. You're not tapping into your higher self. You're not tapping into what you need in order to make divine storms worth it. Because again, they're going to happen anyway. So we might as well make the most of them so that we don't have to keep repeating the storm, because the storm will repeat until you learn the lesson, until you're guided to the right road. It's just like your navigation in your car, your GPS, right? If you put, a location in and you're driving down the road and you are supposed to take a right and you keep going straight, does the navigation redirect you over and over and over? Like, even if you're like on the interstate and you're supposed to take exit 12 and you know that there's a cafe on exit 13 that you want to go to and that you can loop around pretty easy, it still keeps redirecting you. The universe works the same way, because the universe, your higher power, whatever you believe in, knows your direction, knows exactly where that point is for you. So if you don't follow it, the divine storms are going to keep coming until you do.
That is the most impactful part of all of this, in that it's going to happen anyway. So, don't fight the current. Keep swimming, or do you have to keep swimming, or can you let the universe take you?
Yeah, that is a really great question. And I love that analogy you just like put in my mind. I picture like just floating on your back down this river, right? I have a client this week who is just really struggling. And then she's beating herself up for struggling, right? And I said, you have a divine storm right now, and it is a big divine storm. It is okay to feel the feelings. Like, we need to actually feel the feelings and not be okay for a little while. There's like that term toxic positivity that goes around society. And I love to pop this misconception right now. As a coach, mindset, personal development, positivity, we still allow you to sit in the feelings and feel the feels and cry and be upset, but it's what you do from it. You don't get ornery. You don't get resentful. So yeah, flow down the river. I mean, feel it, right? But before the rapids hit, have a game plan.
Don't cross the river if you can't swim the tide, which was a hit song back in the 70s by the yacht rock group America. And you can interpret it any way you want, but essentially it is saying, and it refers to a girl in her life, and she's making these choices that aren't the best for her. And the person singing the song is saying, no, come over here. Now, some also look at it in a spiritual way, this particular song, and maybe a religious way, like, come over here. You're doing the wrong thing over there. But either way, if you can't swim the tide, don't cross the river. Just let the river take you along the way. When these storms show up, now you want to be prepared for the storms, but do we often know that they're coming? If we are looking, it's not easy. I think I'm about 50%, 60% there in terms of seeing the signs, being aware of all of that. But do you think that we're just so wrapped up in life, we don't see the signs? And, call it the weather forecast to the storm. you could have known that it was going to storm if you were listening to the weather forecast within you.
Yeah. I mean, I think like 90, probably like 95% of the time there are signs. But I think some divine storms, like if you look at the lessons that they're here to teach you, sometimes we need the lesson on being flexible, going with the flow, taking things that are not expected and making the most out of them. So I do think that there's a small portion of divine storms that we really don't have much signs for, but that's kind of where like coaching is fun, because even in the unexpected divine storms for you, if it's here to teach you flexibility, going with the flow and stepping out of your comfort zone, I can as a coach see it coming. And so
Hmm.
in the meantime, seeing it coming, I am preparing you, because I create a map for all of my clients for
Yeah.
3 months that we work together. So
Cool.
I am preparing you with your mindset and your beliefs for the storm before you even hit it, even know it's coming. And I often am that person to pull you out of the river and shake you and say, here's a life preserver. Let's go. Here is a paddle. Here is a boat, giving you whatever tools you need, and then teaching you and building that belief so that the next storm you have, you can do it on your own. Because that's the ultimate goal of coaching, is really to get you into a space that you can do it on your own. You know, I'm always here for my clients. I have like a monthly program that they can continue with me as having me as needed for support and encouragement and things like that. But you know, my goal as a coach, I want you to be at the point in 3 months and working together that your life is ignited, you're out of survival mode and you're into thrival. And seeing these divine storms that we're talking about, you see them coming and you build and you continue to just grow personally, stepping into your true self, so that when they come, you look at them and you face them and you work through them, you learn through them, and then you become even more your best self every single time they happen.
You identified something truly important, and that is working on your mindset before the storm gets here. Because something's going to show up at some point. Could be your job, personal life, marriage, relationship, whatever, health. Um, if you have the right mindset, you're able to navigate through the storm, as opposed to, let's picture a tornado. You're just get swooped up like, oh my gosh. Well, if you have the right mindset, I'm gonna go in the basement. I'm gonna be hiding during the storm, or working through the storm. That's really important.
I love that analogy. So if you think about someone who lives like in a state where they are like tornado prone, and they have this home and they have like a bunker house, and they just kind of like let their house go. Like they know the storm's coming, they see the storm coming, they have the resources, like they could go to the store and get boards to board up the windows, and they could secure their home, and so it makes it out of the storm, and if anything is stronger after the storm. But instead, people who don't harness the power of their mindsets, they get in the bunker and they let their house just be taken away. And so my clients that I work with, we make it so that you are preparing for it. Your house is strong. You're continuously renovating and building your house to be stronger when there's no storm. And then you know what to do, such as boarding the windows, things like that,
Mhm.
when the storm comes. And
Yep.
so if that analogy, it really makes sense to why mindset is so impactful in our lives.
I want to go back and share something real quick about the signs. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I get signs. I ask the universe for signs. I get them. They're very specific. I should ask even a little bit more, and even ask the questions I need answered. But my mom, who passed 5 years ago, I don't know if I shared with you, she gives me signs all the time. Very specific, very specific. So I won't get into the previous signs, but this one just showed up the other day. So she sent me numbers connected to her name, uh, on the password of my modem. I said, Mom, can you just show me that everything's cool? Give me something, that you're still, listening, whatever. I turned the modem around. It's randomly generated. It's four digits dash her name, Rose dash 2 digits. So I try to figure it all out. What do the numbers mean? I got her name. Thank you. I know you're listening. What do the numbers mean? Every time I work, I looked at the numbers. They always come back to 7-Eleven. I'm going to keep this really short. I don't know what that meant. My parents got divorced when I was younger. Didn't really have a close relationship with my father so much. Asked my daughter, what do you think? She said, maybe that's your father.
Oh, wow.
Wait, there's more. So it always comes back 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven. When I add them up, move them around, whatever's going on there, he passed on 7-Eleven. And he was born on 3/4, March 4th, added up. So I took that as a sign, like, and he passed from sudden heart attack. So I took that as a sign when I was 21, as a sign that, mom's saying, check your health, do your health. So I make an appointment with a cardiologist, and I've got some things to work on. Let stress got in the way. Didn't have the right mindset. Damn it, I should have called Trinity. But here's the final part of this story. This is 2 days ago. Walk into the cardiologist, intake woman sitting right there at the desk. I look at her and look at her shirt.
Rose.
Says Rose.
No joke. No joke. I mean, so is there always signs? I really do think some way, somehow, there's always signs, maybe not signs that we're meant to see, maybe the people around us that are supporting us.
Right.
But you just talked about, like, those are deep signs. Those are really deep signs. So if
Undeniable.
Undeniable, right? But it also takes the mindset to say, I have to pay attention to this, right?
Yes, this is where I'm going with it. If you saw me 5 years ago, yeah, signs, they show up, whatever. I believe in it, but I didn't really believe in it. But my point on all of this is it's mindset. I'm in a different mindset where I'm looking for it. I'm aware of it. I don't try to see it. I let it come to me. Yeah, there's some people that can say, well, I saw a butterfly pass by. That's my mom. If you want to believe that and you're good, well, good for you. I choose, I need specifics. And the first time she ever showed me a sign going through a tough time, a life-changing moment. And I vibed her the night before, the night of this one moment. And I'm pulling in the parking lot somewhere where I was going to confront this situation. And I look at the energy drink in my console, and it's her birthday. So, and I told my friend, and he's like, yeah, all right, 1 in 365 chance. Okay, great. He goes, but what are the chances that you were looking at the expiration date on an energy drink at that moment? So it's looking for the signs. They're there. I think if we ask for them, and you said before, like 95% of the times the signs we're getting them. It's guiding us in some way. I believe that. I believe you're on point with that. 95% of the time, we're just not trained to look and also block out the clutter.
Yeah, I mean, we are a society that's living in survival mode. When you're in survival mode, don't look for signs. If anything, you notice the signs that you don't want to see, right? Like, my bank account's empty and my husband isn't paying attention to me. My career sucks. Like,
you're right.
So if you are listener, who is in survival mode, who is listening to Steve and I, like, I can't even imagine thinking the way you think, just contact me. It is really crazy because we all have a mindset. Like, it's not something that you need to buy. It's not something that it's all within us. We just aren't harnessing it. And so passion, and I love that we've ended with this is why I do what I do. This is why I'm a motivational speaker. This is why I'm a coach, why I do podcasts, why I'm an author, why I write blogs, all of it, because if it's one extra person hears this message, that your entire life can be so different. You can be your true self, living a beautiful life, but it all starts with the power of your mindset. We have to harness the power of our mindset if you want to live a happy, beautiful life. And that's it.
It's all up in here. And I didn't want to belabor sharing my story, but it there's twofold. It was the signs and the mindset. I've changed my mindset. And you just said, Trinity, that we all have a mindset. We do. Unfortunately, some of us, many of us, that mindset isn't the right mindset. It's not supporting us. And you're right. We look for the negative signs instead of the positive signs. Why? I don't know. I think we're wired to be negative, to protect us. And like you said, to be in survival mode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, survival mode was made for a reason back in the caveman years where we needed to hunt and survive literally, right? We're not in survival mode anymore. Like, we live in a beautiful world where we don't need to be in survival mode. There is no reason that we need to be in survival mode. And I know that that is a very blunt statement, but if you are sitting here thinking like, yeah, okay, you don't know my life, I promise you, get on the phone with me and I will show you there's no reason we need to be in survival mode.
I don't have a single doubt about that. Like I love your mindset, not just because I align with it, but also you're clear, concise, and you get to the point. Like if I hadn't gone through a lot of stuff in the last few years to realize all this stuff, the storm came.
Mm-hmm.
The storm came, trust me. I probably would have navigated better if I had, like you said, worked on my mindset previously. And my mindset now is nothing surprises me. And you deal and you live in the moment. Previously, I was in the tornado.
Yeah. And society teaches us to be in the tornado. I mean, the bottom line is, there's many reasons why we are the way we are. I think society plays a huge role. Our upbringing, how we were raised, and the previous generations to us plays a huge role. What we are exposed to every day, the chemicals, all those things play a huge role. There's so many different things that play a role in that. And it all really does come down to we have the power. I mean, even if you're someone struggling with a mental health challenge, like, you still have the power. I promise you. I work with people who are struggling with mental health.
Yeah.
And you have the power. I promise. Just get on the phone. Let's talk about it.
You have the power to help people and the credibility in the background, even from a medical standpoint. So you understand a lot of this. Easy to find your website. It is the Trinity Baker, BAKER.com. Start the conversation, navigate the storm. The sun's coming out. We guarantee that it will. Here's the open, the spot that's open. How long will it take the sun to come out? That's up to you. It's up to you. There it is. Thank you. Thank you so much. Love talking with you. It's fantastic.
You too, Steve. Have a wonderful Friday.
You too. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.